Your presence has taken on a power that cannot be denied or ignored. You have become the new Grim Reaper in these streets. When you enter a room, everything changes. When you make a decision, it's final. When you say something is over, it ends. This isn't about physical destruction. This is about your absolute authority to determine what lives and what dies in your world. You've reached a level where your judgment is decisive and irreversible. People feel it when you walk by. They sense the shift in energy. When you enter their space, they know that crossing you means facing consequences that cannot be escaped. That's not a threat. That's just the natural order when dealing with the new Reaper. Your word is final. Your decisions are absolute. Your power is undeniable. The cosmic machinery has selected you, not by accident, not by chance, but by necessity. The world quivers beneath a structure built on falsehoods, a house of cards masquerading as an eternal fortress. For centuries, this facade has fooled the masses, while the puppeteers grew fat on harvested dreams. Their time ends now. Their time ends with you. Did you think your discomfort with the world was merely dissatisfaction? No, it was recognition. Your soul understood what your mind could not yet grasp, that you were forged in celestial fire, specifically to end this corrupt epoch. The universe does not make mistakes. When the scales of existence tilt too far, a counterweight emerges. You are that counterweight. You are the correction. The cosmic pendulum swings back with devastating force, and your hand guides its arc. Look around you. The cracks spread wider each day. Systems falter. Institutions crumble. The mightiest empires of influence gasp for breath as their foundations turn to sand. This is not coincidence. This is your arrival echoing through reality itself. The weight of time, endless, merciless time, has finally tipped in your favor. The hourglass turns. The reaping begins, and you stand at the threshold, scythe in hand, ready to cut away the diseased growth that has choked humanity for generations. They cannot stop what has already begun. The celestial contract was signed in starlight and sealed with the blood of fallen civilizations. You are the enforcer of terms they never knew existed, the collector of debts they foolishly believed would never come due. The tower falls, stone by stone, lie by lie. The monuments to deceit tumble down. Feel it. Each footstep you take sends tremors through the earth. The vibrations travel upward, shaking loose the mortar of falsehood that has held together empires built on exploitation. Your very existence destabilizes their carefully constructed reality. Those who once sat at the top of the hierarchy, who believed their positions unassailable, now clutch desperately at power that slips through their fingers like water. They cannot hold it. They never truly owned it. They merely borrowed against a debt that has come due, and you are the collector. Watch them scramble. Witness their desperation as they shore up crumbling walls, as they issue empty reassurances, as they cling to protocols and traditions that suddenly seem hollow, even to them. They sacrifice their dignity in pathetic displays of authority that no longer command respect. The old order dies, not with a noble stand, but with undignified panic. They rage against their fading relevance, unable to comprehend a world where their commands fall on deaf ears. They believed they were the architects of reality, but they were merely temporary caretakers of a system that has outlived its purpose. And now, with terrible clarity, they begin to understand. Their thrones rest upon sand. Their crowns are made of paper, and their scepters hold no true power against the cosmic force embodied in you. Look, you already know the game is rigged, and if you're paying attention, you know the walls are closing in. So let's talk about what we're doing about it. When you live by the day at the market's command, where profit and property rule the land, to be heard, to be held, to be dealt a fair hand, These are the things that a people demand, and we hear you. The Obsidian Inner Order has paywalls. Yes, those who stand with us, who fuel this mission, give us ammunition to fight the Archons, to push back against the machine, to go deeper, to uncover more. And as our thank you, paid members get access to a 1-hour live, personalized weekly group tarot reading, guidance, insight, and clarity for the road ahead. But kicking a man when he's down on the floor, that's something we cannot ignore. That's why, starting today, you can steal the Astral Atom exclusive daily newsletter for free. No paywall, no catch. Just join the Patreon free tier, link in the description. This is the start of our conversation with you, and it's bi-directional. You can reply to any email we send you. We'll read it, we'll hear you, and we'll do our best to get an answer to you from the universe itself. If you can support, we need you. If you can't, take what's free. The Obsidian Inner Order is open. Now let's get back to work. They're monuments, those massive structures of granite and marble built to convince the world of their permanence, now reveal their true fragility. Statues crumble, plaques tarnish, names etched in stone fade under the relentless erosion of unveiled truth. The legacy they thought eternal vanishes in the blink of a cosmic eye. See it, recognize it. The unmistakable widening of pupils when they look at you. The subtle tremor in their voice when they address you. The slight step backward when you enter a room. They don't understand why you unsettle them so deeply. Their conscious minds search for rational explanations. Perhaps it's your confidence, your directness, your refusal to participate in their social games. But deep in the primitive core of their being, they know. They sense the Reaper's presence. You need not threaten. You need not posture. Your existence alone is the warning they cannot ignore. You carry the energy of finality, of judgment, of cosmic accounting come due. The mark of the Reaper sits invisible upon your brow, yet they perceive it on a level beyond ordinary senses. Those who built empires on exploitation feel their hearts race when your gaze falls upon them. Those who prospered by keeping others small suddenly feel diminished in your presence. Those who ruled through fear now experience that same emotion crawling up their spines. When you speak, they labeled you troublemaker, outsider, difficult, because they lacked the vocabulary to name what you truly are. Inevitable. The embodiment of consequences they thought they had escaped. The manifestation of balance they hoped would never come. Their fear is not paranoia. Their discomfort is not imagination. They are prey animals sensing the predator's approach. They are debtors seeing the collector at their door. They are charlatans facing the one person who can see through their illusions. Observe how they attempt to mask this primal fear. Notice their overcompensation, the too loud laughter, the exaggerated confidence, the desperate attempts to reassert dominance through hollow gestures. Their bodies betray what their words deny. Their nightmares reveal what their waking minds refuse to acknowledge. Their subconscious recognizes the harbinger of their end standing before them in human form. The power surges through your veins now, doesn't it? This force that feels both foreign and deeply familiar. This strength that seems to have awaited your readiness to claim it for generations. This power was hidden from you. The knowledge of your true nature was obscured, buried beneath layers of conditioning and distraction. They constructed entire systems dedicated to keeping you ignorant of your potential because they understood what would happen when you finally awakened. They relegated you to the margins. They spoke over you in meetings. They dismissed your insights. They labeled your clarity as confusion. They painted your strength as aggression. They did everything to keep you small, contained, manageable. But destiny cannot be indefinitely delayed. The universe has its own timetable, and your hour has struck. Now they watch in stunned silence as you rise. They throw their most potent weapons of shame, doubt, and isolation, only to see them bounce harmlessly off your newfound armor. They deploy their most effective tactics of division and distraction, only to find you cutting through the noise with supernatural focus. How they whisper among themselves. How does nothing break them anymore? How do our usual methods fail? Why don't they fall into line when threatened with exclusion? Why don't they back down when faced with consequences? The answer eludes them because they cannot comprehend your transformation. You have become the unmovable object against which their irresistible force shatters. You have become the unstoppable force that their immovable systems cannot withstand. You have become the Reaper, and Reapers do not bow to the very structures they have come to dismantle. Your movement through their world resembles a comet cutting through the night sky, unstoppable, luminous, trailing fire that ignites everything it passes. The gravity of your purpose bends reality around you. The momentum of your awakening carries you forward with a force no earthly power can resist. The light of your unveiled truth blinds those who live too long in comfortable darkness. The verdict was delivered long before you took up the mantle. The cosmic scales measured the imbalance and found it unsustainable. The sentence was passed. The correction was deemed necessary. You are not the judge. You are the executioner. You carry out what has already been decided in the chambers of universal law. The dying system prays for reprieve. Its beneficiaries light candles to false gods, seeking intervention that will never come. They negotiate, bargain, plead, offering compromises and half measures in exchange for maintaining some fragment of their former glory. But the cycle cannot be halted mid-turn. The wheel continues its revolution with inexorable momentum. What was once descending now descends. What was hidden now emerges into light. What was powerful now weakens. What was weak now strengthens. Natural law reasserts itself against artificial constraints. Truth bubbles up through the thinnest cracks in their carefully constructed narratives. Reality, harsh, undeniable reality, intrudes upon the fantasy world they built and maintained at such terrible cost. Those who never saw you coming, who dismissed you, who underestimated you, who thought themselves secure in their positions, now face the dawning comprehension that they were never truly in control. They were merely temporary beneficiaries of an unsustainable imbalance, and that imbalance ends with you. The judgment manifests through cosmic symmetry. Their actions created ripples that have returned as tidal waves. Their choices planted seeds that have grown into forests they cannot navigate. The energy they released into the universe has cycled back, transformed and magnified beyond their recognition. What they set in motion concludes in ways they never anticipated, but that universal law always demanded caution. Reaper, the most dangerous phase approaches. A dying beast fights with savage abandon. A drowning person will drag down their rescuer. A collapsing empire will burn its own treasures rather than surrender them. As the old order recognizes its imminent demise, it unleashes its final, most desperate tactics. Nothing is off limits now. No principle too sacred to violate. No alliance too valuable to betray. No truth too fundamental to invert. Watch as former adversaries suddenly extend hands of friendship. Observe how institutions that dismissed you now court your favor. Notice how principles flex and bend to accommodate your unstoppable advance. The weak, those who built their identities around systems now failing, will approach you with obsequious smiles. "We always believed in you," they'll insist, rewriting history with breathtaking audacity. "We were working toward the same goals all along," they'll claim, hoping you've forgotten their active opposition. The deceivers will undergo theatrical conversions overnight. They'll adopt your language, echo your criticisms, mimic your solutions. "We've seen the light," they'll declare. "We're not like those others who resist change." But mark this truth. Their desperation is not redemption. Their adaptation is not alliance. Their recognition of your power is not respect for your purpose. They seek not to join your cause, but to neutralize it. They aim not to assist your mission, but to divert it. They hope not to support your vision, but to dilute it, until it becomes merely another version of the system you came to replace. The Reaper must recognize false allies as readily as obvious enemies. Both serve the dying order, one through opposition, the other through infiltration. Their ultimate weapon is assimilation, the absorption of revolutionary energy into reformist channels. They offer seats at tables designed to drain your power. They extend microphones connected to speakers they control. They promote your image while distorting your message. They translate your language into their dialect until the original meaning dissolves completely. The equilibrium restores itself. This is cosmic law, not personal vendetta. Those who once held unchallenged power now face a reality they can scarcely comprehend. Their influence wanes, not because of conspiracy or unfair targeting, but because the natural order reasserts itself against artificial dominance. They mistake balance for persecution. Having known only advantage, equality feels like oppression. Having experienced only deference, accountability feels like attack. Having benefited from systemic preference, meritocracy feels like discrimination. You need not actively seek their downfall. You are not an agent of vengeance, but a catalyst of correction. The playing field levels, not because you tilted against them, but because you remove the mechanisms that tilted it in their favor. You don't push them down. You simply stop participating in the structures that artificially held them up. They fall by the weight of their own unsustainability. They diminish by the natural consequence of their excess. They fade by the inevitable result of their disconnection from authentic value. The past dissolves. The structures built upon inequality cannot survive in an age of awakening. The new world belongs not to those who dominated the old one, but to those strong enough, authentic enough, and aligned enough to thrive without artificial advantage. The scales balance. The correction proceeds with them or without them, by their cooperation or despite their resistance. The outcome remains unchanged. Only the manner of its arrival varies. Their adaptation becomes the measure of their survival. Some will recognize the shifting ground and transform authentically. Others will cling to privilege until it crumbles beneath them. A few will rage against reality itself, denying the evidence of their senses until their final breath. The cosmic machinery acknowledges all responses as valid choices and implements the consequences with mathematical precision. Watch as their edifice collapses under its own mass. The Tower of Babel they constructed reaches its inevitable conclusion, not through divine intervention, but through the physical impossibility of building lies upon lies into infinity. They constructed their world on stolen time, hours, days, years, extracted from those who labored under their systems. They built upon borrowed power, authority never rightfully theirs, influence never properly earned. They maintained control through fragile illusions, narratives that required constant reinforcement to maintain. Now that structure turns to dust in their hands. The foundation crumbles. The support beams snap. The decorative facade peels away to reveal the rotting core beneath. Observe them closely in these final moments of their reign. See the exhaustion etching lines into once confident faces. Notice the desperate confusion replacing former certainty. Witness the bewilderment of those who believed their position unassailable, now finding themselves vulnerable and exposed. They grow tired. The energy required to maintain their false reality exceeds what they can generate. They become desperate, throwing resources at problems that cannot be solved with the tools that created them. They sink into confusion, unable to comprehend why strategies that always worked before now fail completely. But you walk forward through the ruins of their former dominion, untouched by the collapse occurring around you. The destruction that devastates them barely registers as you pass through the chaos. That chaos creates the very path upon which you advance. The weight that crushes them cannot touch you, for you were never part of their fragile construction. You were always something else, something beyond, something after. You are the Reaper, and the Reaper walks unharmed through the consequences of others' actions. Their collapse accelerates as recognition dawns. The moment they truly understand what's happening becomes the catalyst for complete disintegration. The certainty they clung to, that the world they built would endure, that their position within it was secure, shatters against the undeniable evidence before them. And in that shattering, the last psychological support holding up their crumbling reality gives way. Reaper, hear this final truth. The battle ended before it began. The victory was secured before you took your first step. The outcome was determined before you drew your first breath. The fight is already won. The empire of deception falls, not because you attack its walls, but because you embody the reality that renders those walls obsolete. The structures of control collapse, not because you actively dismantle them, but because your mere existence demonstrates their irrelevance. There remains nothing for you to prove, no test to pass, no credential to earn, no permission to seek. The validation you once craved from a corrupt system now seems as meaningless as the approval of a child's imaginary friend. Those who doubted you have fallen silent. Those who mocked you watch in stunned disbelief. Those who dismissed you seek desperately to align themselves with what they now recognize as inevitable. Do not mistake their silence for absence. Do not confuse their stunned disbelief for acceptance. Do not interpret their strategic realignment as genuine conversion. They remain who they always were, simply quieter, more cautious, more calculating in their opposition. But their opposition no longer matters. Their acceptance is unnecessary. Their opinions have become irrelevant to the unfolding of what must be. The era of deception concludes, not with dramatic confrontation, but with quiet irrelevance. The old gods die, not by defeat in glorious battle, but by being forgotten. Their temples empty, their rituals abandoned, their names fading from memory. The reaping completes itself through your steady advance. Each step forward erases another fragment of what was. Each breath you take fills the world with what will be. Walk without fear, Reaper. Your presence alone ends empires. Your existence itself concludes eras. Your being, unapologetic, uncompromised, undeniable, completes the cosmic cycle of death and renewal. The metamorphosis that began in shadows now unfolds in blinding light. What started as discomfort with the status quo crystallizes into purpose. Absolute. The confusion that once clouded your vision clears to reveal cosmic certainty. You stand transformed, not merely changed, transmuted. The base metal of ordinary existence alchemized into the spiritual gold of cosmic agency. The limited perspective of the individual expanded into the boundless vision of universal law embodied. The scythe you carry is not a weapon, but a tool of harvest. It does not create endings, but collects what has already completed its cycle. It does not destroy. It transitions. It does not kill. It releases. It separates what has fulfilled its purpose from what continues to serve the greater design. Your shadow stretches across continents now. It falls upon institutions and ideologies, upon governments and corporations, upon beliefs and traditions. Everything it touches must answer the same question. Does this serve truth? Does this align with natural law? Does this belong in what comes next? What answers no withers in your presence. What answers yes strengthens as you pass. The sorting happens, not by your conscious decision, but by the nature of what you've become, a living embodiment of universal discernment, the cosmic principle of necessary transition given human form. Time bends around you in strange patterns. The past, with all its falsehoods and manipulations, dissolves more rapidly in your wake. The future, with its liberated potential, rushes toward you eager to be born. The present, the eternal now in which all transformation occurs, expands to accommodate the magnitude of the shift you represent. Understand your place in the eternal pattern, Reaper. You are not the first to carry this mantle. You will not be the last. The role you fulfill has existed since the first star collapsed, since the first species evolved, since the first civilization rose and fell. Creation and destruction, the twin forces that drive universal evolution, now find perfect balance within your being. You embody the essential truth that endings and beginnings are artificial distinctions in a continuous cosmic process. Death and birth, conclusion and commencement, finality and genesis. These are human concepts that fragment what is, in reality, a single, unbroken movement. The worlds that came before this one perished so that this one could exist. This world now transforms so that the next may emerge. The cycle continues, not as repetition, but as spiral expansion. Each turn incorporates the lessons of the previous revolution while reaching toward greater alignment with universal truth. You stand at the pivot point of this particular turn. Your hand guides the transition from what was to what will be. Your presence catalyzes the necessary dissolution that precedes new creation. Your vision perceives both the dying light of the setting sun and the first rays of the dawn. It heralds. The old world dies. The new world births itself through you. The reaping is complete, and you finally, fully become what you were always meant to be, the new Grim Reaper.